Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to Homecoming the podcast, where we talk about HBCUs and all the news, everything. Hey, listen, guys, we're talking about stuff that really matters in the
Yep.
community, matters about you guys, and that's what we're here for, man. And we're just here to serve you, give you this great news, and some interesting news. Let's just start some topics. Some start some not controversy. I just like to say conversations. So,
I like
Rose, what
messy.
is going up?
I like messiness. People like
Messy.
to tease. Everybody wants to stay positive, and yeah, I just need to cancel out toxicity and toxic people from my life. But as soon as you hear
Yeah.
something messy, your ears get big and it's pointing in that direction. So like, let's call a spade a spade. But I've been good. I've been good. I was sick a little bit under the weather this past
hmm
week, but
Yeah.
just thankful. I'm feeling a lot better. I didn't have a
Mhm.
voice for literally a week. Couldn't even whisper.
Couldn't
Right.
whisper.
Just dude, there's something going around. There's always something going around since COVID. Thank you, COVID. Um,
Couldn't
but yeah, I feel
whisper.
good. I feel really good. I feel really good. My little nephew, he graduated high school,
Yeah,
so
I
that was
saw
an
that. Shout out to
accomplishment.
that. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
old.
Yeah, he figured that out. I figured that out a long time ago.
Hey. And if I'm old, then what are you?
I'm not old. We're not old.
Okay.
That's just a
With all these
mindset.
grays that I see in your
Oh, this
in
is
your
what is.
beard and mustache, get out of here.
This
Get out of here.
wisdom. I'm just saying, like, we gotta accept it. We're not old. I don't think old is till you get like
I'll fight it to my grave.
90
I'm
to about
playing.
95. 95. That's when I'll call myself old. I'll call
Exactly.
myself
No.
old when I'm get old as Abraham, 76. That's when I'm old.
That's what I'm saying. And I don't like that how like these young kids, they'll try to age us out here. Yeah, you old
No.
heads. When did 30 become old heads? Like when it being in your 30s meant that you were old? I'm trying to figure it out.
Hold on, bros. Don't wait. Time out. Time out. We said the same thing. Okay. I know I did. I was like, man, them old heads, they be 35 years old. I used to say it.
And
I
now
used
look
to
at your
say it. I
ass.
used to be like, oh man. Now I hang out with them old heads. All right, old head. And now,
Fucking
old head.
crazy.
I
I
love it
still
though. I
feel
love it.
young.
I love it. I love being the guy people, be like, hey, what's up? I'll be chilling. You know,
Yeah.
I'm the chill uncle. I'll be, I mind my business and I'm
Damn.
chilling. I do, man. I mind my business. Drink my
No,
water.
that's good. I'm just saying, I be trying to let these kids know, listen, you're not going to be young and hip and cool forever. Your artist isn't going to be trending forever. You're not going to be, oh, I know the new underground artist and da 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 da. You'll blink and you're going to be my age. So enjoy it while you
That's
can.
that's true.
Enjoy it while you can.
That's true.
That's all I'll
That's
say about
true.
that.
Live life. I was telling Faith the other day, I was like, yo, listen. I was like, people like, you always in the house. I'm like, I don't know what you did in your 20s and 30s, but I lived life. Okay?
JT said he was
And
outside.
I'm what? Yeah. And I'm okay being in the house now. I'm okay. Yeah, I was outside,
Yeah.
outside. Like I'm talking about you pull up, maybe it's like 2000, maybe 9, 10, pull up on a Wednesday night to the plot, end up going to a probate at Cheney University in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
That's
I like
outside. But
being in the
anyway,
house. I like being in the house. The house has everything I need. My house feels safe.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it is what it is. But there's been some interesting stories in HBCU news and in our world.
Mm.
It's been a lot of interesting things happening. I just went online and I saw that Howard University, my alma mater, actually
Go ahead.
basically took back the honorary
I saw it.
degree. Yeah, you saw that, right? They
I saw
revoked it.
it.
They revoked that honorary
They need
degree.
to. It's
Said,
ridiculous.
Diddy, we gotta, you know, you gotta take that essentially. Like you gotta get that shit back.
Yeah.
I mean, wild stories.
As soon as it came out, it's crazy. Like, you know how if you hear something about somebody, you be like, man, nah, I don't believe it. When it first came out, I was like, oh yeah, he did that.
Yeah, I believe that. Mhm.
Yep,
I believed
straight.
it. I believed it.
Just like
And I
Power, the 50 Cent said to
oh,
Tyreek, oh yeah,
yeah.
he did that. Yeah. I was like, oh, he did
Oh
that.
my gosh.
Nope.
Oh my no doubt about it. And I'm always the person like because we have so much access to
hmm
celebrities and just people's lives with social media, we get so quick to be so reactionary when we hear news. If it's negative news, oh man, this guy beat this woman or this thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is, I want all the facts, and I have to see how everything plays out before I make have an opinion, because sometimes it's like whoever gets to the phone first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're the victim. And we don't know the back and forth that happened. You get what I'm saying? But when I heard that
Yeah.
Diddy, I said typical.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
heard Diddy News, I said typical.
I was like,
I don't put it
yeah.
past him. I
Nope.
don't put it
I
past him.
was like, nah.
So
Cause growing up with that, we would hear stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's always like,
mhm.
as soon as I heard it, as soon as Cassie's lawsuit came out to Faith, I was like, yeah, he did it, man.
He did
I
it.
was like, I thought he was wild,
Bro,
but not like this.
there was
I
a
was like,
story
he's
about,
terrible. I was like, he's a diabolical human being. I was like, he's a
yeah,
monster.
when you beat somebody with the belt is wild. Like I read a story. He was outside of the the Harriet Tubman, the quad. He was outside of the quad. I guess he was dating somebody at the time where he went to Howard, and um like called her outside yelling, very belligerent, and then like beat her with the belt like out in
And this
public.
is at
So
Howard.
this is at Howard. This is when he was
Cause
actually a
I
student
heard,
at Howard. So
I heard it was, and I heard those stories came out. What was it, like a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, or last week, that the
yeah,
stories came out that he was doing that. I was like,
yeah.
that's
They said his
crazy.
parties were wild, and they were nice, but he was a little too touchy feely, and he didn't, respect boundaries. So these are all red flags. If he was doing that shit in the 80s, I mean,
He
who
just got
knows
more
what he's
power.
doing now? You know what I'm saying? Like that shit, especially when that type of stuff is left unchecked, when nobody's like,
Hmm.
hey, and there's no real consequences, you think you can get away with murder essentially.
Yes, you're doing
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want, and it's
Do
like,
whatever you
all right,
want. So it is what it is. But that's not what we want to talk about today,
no,
guys.
no, no,
There's
no,
enough
no.
stuff on Diddy. I'm actually sick of it. I'm
Yeah,
actually sick of it.
yeah.
What we're talking
He
about
needs to go away
today,
for a minute. He
he
just needs to
really
go away.
does.
Yeah, yeah.
He really does. So I find this very interesting, right? So
Okay,
one of my friends, she was an AKA. She
okay.
recently denounced. There has been a
Ooh,
trend, and she sent me a Essence magazine,
mhm.
excuse me, Instagram
Yeah,
post in regards to people denouncing Greek organizations, right?
it's a lot.
So yeah, and I'm just reading through the comment sections. I was like, whoa, this is very, very intense. And
Mhm,
I started the pledging process as far as like going to meetings, being
mhm.
interested in one of the Black Greek organizations on
Yeah,
campus, but I never went through with it.
yes,
So I don't have as much, insider information or experience
yes.
to give towards this topic, but I do think it's interesting that this isn't new.
No,
Denouncing and renouncing Black Greek organization is nothing new.
no.
And I feel like it has waves because you can go on
Yes.
YouTube and you'll see videos from 7 years ago, two
Yep.
years ago,
Yep.
but what I do see with these videos, no matter if it was posted 10 years ago or yesterday, there are some common themes with them. And what I mean by that is the reasons for individuals walking away or denouncing
Mhm.
their Greek organization. And a lot of that is stemming from religion and more specifically Christianity. All
Mhm.
right. So pretty much individuals are saying that there's claims of like demonic practices, like ritualistic practices, ceremonies, and chants, and pretty
Mhm.
much this putting the organization or
Mhm.
these Greek gods as
Yeah.
idols before God. And
Mhm.
there's just been a lot of testimony of people's negative experience during the pledging process
Yes.
and demoralizing experiences that led them
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
denouncing or renouncing their Greek organization. But I think it's amazing that we have JT here, who is a member of Omega Psi Phi,
Okay.
and he is a son of God. This guy,
Yeah.
like all the years that I've known you, you've been very, very, I guess, consistent with your spirituality and very sure of yourself and your spirituality. You weren't somebody who was always like throwing in my face, like, have you heard the good news? Like you never did that with me, but
Yeah.
I could always like see the importance of spirituality with you through the years that I've known you. So
Mhm.
I'm very excited to kind of pick your brain and what you think um, about this whole new wave of denouncing and renouncing?
Oh man. You know what? I've been actually stewing on it, right? I've been like thinking about it, and I to be honest with you, I totally understand it because I get it. Everybody, what I learned in my spirituality right now is I'm reading the Bible with my wife, you know. Uh if you get a chance, it's as crazy as it got. But anyway, on YouTube.
Love that podcast. I love it.
So yeah, got a chance to check it out. So we're in Isaiah right now, and what I've started to understand with my walk with God, right, and as much as I get closer to Him, I'm starting to realize how wretched I am, right? So, listen, I'm gonna be honest, man.
Wow.
I'm reading the Old Testament. I wouldn't have survived. Listen,
Oh, we're
because
out. We're 86th.
we're
We're out of
because
there. We're out of
and
there.
it's like the way God is, He has mercy, but He also is very true because His word is the truth, right? It's when I like talking scripture, I always drop a Bible verse, and that's John 1:1, where God said, "The word is the truth," because in the beginning there was the word, because the word started with God, because He started the earth with the world. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Anyway, so God says in Exodus, because I had a chance to read it,
Hmm.
and in the Bible, the way the stories are constructed, it's you have to understand the context that God is telling you the story and how it relates to life so you can apply it and walk like Him. Not, this is what I learned so far. And what I've learned is number one, nobody is. So this isn't a judgment on anybody because to be honest with you, everybody is a sinner. It doesn't matter if they're a preacher. It doesn't. It's a natural thing that we all gonna go through, right? Only
Right.
person without sin is Jesus. That's a fact. So, um, back in the day, God said this, and because we're talking about context, if we go to the beginning, God has the rules because He goes. Exodus is separation. Leviticus is rules and structure. He gives out these rules, right? In Deuteronomy, I'm sorry. Well, not Deuteronomy, but the first five books of the Bible, Exodus, that's where Moses is. And it starts listing out these rules. Everybody should live by what you should eat, what you should drink, how you should clean yourself if you have a disease. Leprosy was a lot back then. It tells you what happens if you commit a crime, which you should do. It tells you about adultery as a sin, and these are on top of the Ten Commandments. And the crazy thing is, so right here, and I didn't understand this until I really got into reading the Bible. You don't understand what an idol
Hmm.
is. I didn't understand what an idol was. I was like, what is an idol? Oh, you think it's like, in the Bible it describes it as a bull, right? Or a golden calf,
Right. Right.
right?
I definitely heard that before. Hmm.
Right? But this is what Exodus 23 verses 5 says. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image or likeness of anything that is heaven above, or that is earth beneath, or that is water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I am the Lord your God, a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of fathers to the children. Okay, okay, no. So he's a jealous God, right?
Hmm.
And what he's saying is, I didn't understand this. I was like, don't worship false idols. I don't think people understand what an idol is. And what God is saying, an idol, if you put anything before Him, which means if I wake up, go to work, right, and I drink every night, right,
Hmm.
that's an idol. worship Oscars, um, the way you eat. If you overeat, that's a sin. Like this is how many sins are happening constantly and daily. You don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Half the time, we could look at ourselves as gods. That's most time we think we're higher than God because of what happened in the very beginning when we ate the tree of good and knowledge of. We ate the from the tree that we weren't supposed to eat from. That caused a chain of events. But the great thing is I'm here, so I'm thankful for that. Right? But
Mm-hmm.
that food could be looked at as an idol. Like God says, anything before me. So when I understand when people denounce or renounce, I get it. That's just not how I would do it. I wouldn't do it publicly because I feel like if you denounce something, you should do it. And if God tells you you should do it, you should do it. Everybody has their own walk with God. But what I've learned from God is he keeps everything in the dark. You praise him for doing everything in your life, but he's going to tell you certain things that you don't admit to everybody because it's not about you, it's about him. So if you're telling everybody on Instagram you're renouncing, that's not about God, that's about you. Because you want everybody to see it. Just having a conversation with somebody and spreading the news is different than posting it. Now, if somebody says this is what God told me and they tell their close friends, I get it. That's their walk with God. I just know my God has given me different instructions, and my instructions that God has given me are different from everybody else's instructions.
But so with that, I challenge. How do you know that that was their instruction?
I
Like,
don't know. I mean,
how do
that's
you
I would.
know? Because you're saying you should do it in private, but things need to come to light.
Yeah.
Certain things should
Yeah.
come to
Yeah.
light,
Yeah.
especially if it isn't right, right?
Yeah.
And there's a reason for testimonies. People put their
Mhm.
testimonies on Instagram. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel
Mhm.
like it's almost like people are trying to silence them, right? For giving their
Yeah.
testimony and giving their experience. And that
Yeah.
that experience, you don't know if it can glorify God or like, oh, okay,
That's
let me
true.
look at this and turn towards God. Because
Mhm.
there are people in the comment section, not everybody was offended. Some people were like, thank you. I was on the fence about whether I should
Mhm.
pledge a Greek organization. And
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
helped me out
Yeah.
immensely because I was
Mhm.
battling something spiritually. So
Mhm.
I don't think like I'm not saying it's they're right or wrong or
Mhm.
pledging is good or bad. I think that's for that individual to figure out with God. But I what I
Yes.
didn't like was people trying to silence people,
Yeah. That's
right?
crazy.
And I don't like that because past the spirituality, Greek
Mhm.
organizations, and this is not black Greek organizations, period, have been known, not all of them, I'm not
Mhm.
generalizing because
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
chapter
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
this,
No. No.
for
No. Yeah.
taking it too far, for physically abusing. I
Yes.
still don't know the
I agree
difference
with that.
between pledging and hazing. And these are things that should not remain in the shadows. You
Mhm.
get what I'm saying? Like nobody should be silenced to be like, well, we did all this stuff in the shadows, so let's only talk. No, we're gonna bring this to light.
Yeah. That's fair.
And
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying? Like stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
People dying because they're over drinking. And these are the
Yeah.
things because if those things weren't brought to light, if they
Mhm.
weren't brought to like big news media, there wouldn't be any reform, any change. So
Yeah.
my question to you, because I
Yeah.
have several,
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's.
yeah,
Yeah.
like my thing is this, like
Okay.
because you spoke about it, so is there in your eyes, you're saying
Yeah.
the proper way to denounce a Greek organization that does defend its act is just to do it in silence or do it behind closed
I
doors?
I think that should be okay. When I meant to say that is, and I apologize for that. I'm probably wrong for that. I think between it
I
should
mean,
be
it's your
done.
opinion.
It should be done in closed doors between them and God, and however it comes out on that end, that's on them. You know. So I'm just saying, like, I get it. I understand everything because I have some of my older fraternity brothers that have done it. You know, and I
Really?
have yeah, and I have some fraternity members. These are men of the cloth that have not. So I think
Do you
it's everybody's. I think I literally I think it's everybody's. I don't know people like just a cop out. It's like no, it's not. Everybody's unique. Everybody has to have that. I'm a big advocate for God. You gotta have that talk with God. God has just told me something today, and I know exactly where I'm going because I have a clear definition of what I'm supposed to be focused on because of what He told me and what I've read. I'm gonna be honest. I'm just on the guidelines of I read a lot of Proverbs and Solomon. I'm just trying to take care of my children's children, and
Mm-hmm.
I have instructions to go about that. So that's just,
Yeah.
so it all depends on your walk because that could be somebody's walk with God could be like, hey, I need you to be on top of this, and then this is what you need to do because this isn't right. I need you to denounce this. I need you to denounce that. I need you to denounce this.
So
And
my
it's not,
question is this.
it's not making everything, I
Right.
mean,
All right. So here's my question though.
hmm
Are there parts, right? Because I've listened to a lot of people's experiences and their testimony. Are there certain elements in the pledging process, hazing process, the ceremonies, the chants,
uh,
the kneeling down, the covenants, which we can get into covenants? We know the definition. It's like promises, right? Not every covenant is
yeah,
bad,
yeah,
but are there things that you look back now in your spiritual maturity,
hmm
because a lot of people are young when they pledge. They're 19, 20. You're not even
yeah, yeah,
21, a
yeah,
lot of
yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah. I
You get
was,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And your walk with God may not have been as strong, right?
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and you're more so of the earth, and you're trying to please this person,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
have your own
yeah.
selfish needs.
Please your own
but
selfishness. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but are there things in the
Mm.
process that do go against, like what you've read? Do they go against God, or is that not something where you take pause to? Because my friend told me they were trying to have her kneel down and pledge to something, and there was candle lights and all types of crazy stuff. And I'm like, that probably wouldn't sit well with me personally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I'm trying to think. Could it? Do I look back on it
Yeah.
now? Could there have been things? Mm, I mean, you could say that. Let me see. Any demonic rituals? Uh, I, I can't. I can't put my hands on it. Um, because a lot of my founders were Christian based. I just I don't mm, I don't. There's no covenants that I know of that I was. They were in all black and cloths and like, ooh, nah. I don't. There's nothing that I could see off of like the
Your
picture that
experience.
she had. My experience, the picture that you
Okay.
gave me, that didn't happen. But I'm not saying it could happen like that because okay, it's kind of like and the reason full transparency that is probably like you hear stories of why this
Mm-hmm.
chapter did this versus this chapter. It's kind of like the telephone game. So each chapter is almost responsible, and each chapter has different rituals. I just know my I can only speak on behalf of what I went through. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
Right. And that's the thing. And I feel like and I appreciate your response, but I feel like a lot of like active members,
Mm,
they get really upset when people are telling their experience. And it's like your experience is different. You get what I'm
yeah.
saying? Your experience is different. I did see some stuff because a lot of this stuff now, like as far as the initiation ceremonies and stuff, people have posted out online.
Yeah,
So
I
I was
know.
reading through the Delta one, and it was kind of
Yeah.
replacing biblical passages with
Mm.
some Greek god, and I'm like, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Nah, I don't. I
you're
don't.
kind of
I
towing the
don't.
line a little bit.
Yeah, I don't. We didn't. We learned the Greek alphabet. I didn't learn about any Greek gods.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I think the right, right,
I don't
right.
know, but that could be that. Like once again, I don't know.
And that's the other thing, right? Because there's
Mm.
a thin line between pledging and hazing, right?
Very thin.
And right. And I think sometimes chapters can take it too far. Do you think that a certain level of pain is necessary? Because my
Oh,
thing is like, like having to take wood, right? Because a lot of people take wood, and I think honestly, a lot of not a lot. There are some members who take pride in how crucial or how painful or how challenging their pledging process is, and when they hear stories of other people, oh, your paper, or you just pretty much walk, you didn't really cross, and they take exception to members who didn't go through that type of pain, physical pain, emotional
Mm,
pain,
mm,
stress test, all types of wild stuff that I've been reading and hearing people talk about. Um, do you think it would be just as beneficial as far as the purpose of a Greek organization, brotherhood,
mm,
sisterhood, service? Could
mm,
you have all that without the process being something where you had to beat somebody, or they had to take wood, or they had to, have their hands out on some military
mm.
shit? Like, could it still be as effective without all that?
That is a very good question. She's been doing research. I don't know how to answer this without. Where am I at? Is somebody coming up with cameras? All right. Anyway, that was an
JT.
awesome, awesome question. So, mm, there, I think it has to be a. Okay, so first, I think I tell people this all the time. It's anything that you should do in life, but if you're gonna do something, do the research, and listen to testimonies of what other people's thoughts are, and do all your reading.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sign up for it, it it does come it does come with a very interesting journey, but it can be done without any of doing any of that. Yes, but it's I think what's applicable is the undergrad is an experience at the time that you're an undergrad, and I think that's the perfect time, like in life. Like you're in college, it's that time to live life. Now, if you graduate college and you're an adult, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a way. It's just a process. It's just learning information, and then to be honest with you, the real issue is it doesn't matter, right? Uh, it just matters about the service, doing the community service and helping out. To be honest with you, at the end of the day, that's what
But
it's
I feel
really
like
about.
that gets undershadowed. I mean, it gets
Yeah,
put to the forefront when people are trying to defend the organization, but we got to be honest. And you were honest in a previous episode when I asked you, like, man, why'd you do Omega? And besides, like, you knowing a lot of cues from your family and your dad, you were
yeah,
just like, man, they look cool. I like the colors, and you know what I'm saying. I
yeah,
wanted to step, and I wanted to. It was a
yeah,
the social element because
yeah.
you're mentioning undergrad and then the experience, bro. There's you can join Red Cross. There's a lot of things you could do if you just want to do service. You get what I'm
That's true.
saying?
That's
So,
true.
like, let's just be honest. Like, we have to
That's
we
true.
have to be honest. People get enamored with the colors on some
They
gang shit.
do.
People get
And
enamored with the
no,
colors. They get enamored
and
with the social status that you have
yes,
on
yeah.
campus.
I've
The
seen it.
show, because you want people to denounce in private, but there is a show in
It is
public
a
when you
show. It's
cross.
a show. It's a
Okay,
show.
so that's a
It's a
little bit
show.
of hypocrisy.
I could
And
I could take that. I could take that.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I appreciate it, but I just we just need to be fair, and I don't feel
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
people need to be silenced or there should
Yeah.
be backlash, um,
Yeah.
for people's opinions, because they can be like, "Hey, you should denounce." Somebody can be like, "Respectfully, that wasn't my experience." Like you're saying, "Hey, that wasn't my experience." There was a lot
Yeah.
of service. You didn't know there was going to be that much service, but you
Nah,
stepped up to it.
yeah.
Like, man, there was a lot of service. Your grades had to be on point. We helped out the campus and
It's a
had
lot.
to host all these events and X, Y, and Z, which is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
appreciated. But I think we're in a time now where it's better for students. It's like the access to information
Mhm.
is a lot easier, bro. When I was
Yeah.
contemplating crossing, YouTube was like in its infancy, so there was nothing there that you can find. it's so secretive, so you're not going to get a lot of information of like
Nope.
what the process is or what the organization is about really. Like you don't know, so you're basing it off of what you see.
Mm-hmm.
And what you see is, man, these people throw cool parties, and they're all together, and it's this quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
brotherhood or sisterhood. You don't really know a lot about it before you make, a decision where you are literally pledging something for the rest of your life. Like this is a lifelong commitment.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I just think sometimes people, they don't know what they're getting into, like the girl Zora from Howard, who she crossed and then she quickly denounced. She didn't know what she was getting into. Or maybe a lot of
Yeah.
times you see older people who
Yeah.
denounce after 10, 15 years because
Yes.
their walk with God is different. They've reached
Yeah.
another level of spiritual maturity
Yeah.
and they've grown the relationship with God. So they're like, hey, this is not sitting well with my spirit. And so I'm going to
Yes.
denounce these things.
Yeah.
I think
I've seen it
what would
live.
help, yeah, I think what would help these organizations, because I don't think they're all bad. Like what I took from it was, okay, you have some rogue chapters. They're out there.
Yeah.
They're out
It
there.
is what it is. Yeah.
And you pointed out before, that's why you need quote unquote old heads or the older members to make sure there's check and balance and make sure people stay in line. Like, hey, this is getting out of control. You guys are tripping. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you still need that that element. But I think what needs to happen is going to be I don't even know how you would do it. I don't know how you would police it. There's just so many chapters where
It's
it's more consistent and on brand across every single chapter, where people don't have those negative and demoralizing, very painful experiences while they're pledging to make your organization look bad. You get what I'm saying?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know how you would do that, JT. I don't know how you would do that.
Make it public.
But yeah, because I don't
Make
think
it public like they did the '70s, so you can see what's going on in real time.
you got to see what's going. Everything's in secrecy and dark, man. I remember some of like my friends when they were pledging all hours of the morning, sneaking out, and they're like, "I can't be caught on the yard," and just like hoodies and shit. I'm like, bro, it's hot outside. Why you got a hoodie on? What are you doing? You're having me jump behind a bush.
Yeah, he
I'm just
has
like,
to. They have to get out of there. They can't be
and
seen. Yeah,
it's
you can't be
ridiculous
seen.
trying to raise
Can't be seen.
$3,000 in 24, 48 hours. Like it's
Yeah,
some
you gotta do
insane
that.
shit going on, bro.
You gotta do. Yeah, you gotta do that.
It's insane.
Yeah, do what you gotta do sometimes.
Bro, like what type of shit? Like if I'm not selling drugs, I don't know, you know, what can happen, bro. Um, I don't know. Like I don't know. But I do think that there needs to be real conversations, and conversations where
Yeah,
people aren't offended, and conversations where people are really trying to make a positive change, so
yeah,
that these organizations aren't getting attacked. People don't feel like they have to denounce. And these organizations, they told themselves as being Christian based, but really getting back into alignment, if that's what your organization is. You are like, this is an awakening period where people aren't just going to church. No, we're reading the word, and things need to be
yeah, yeah,
alignment in what he's saying. You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah. When you
I
get into
think,
that word,
yeah. Oh,
that
so
just
I think
reminds me.
the secrecy is doing more harm than good. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
it's a tough
yeah.
topic though. It's a tough
It
topic. I'm
is. It
listening to this
is.
guy. He pledged Omega. He was like Freemason as well. He said, man, he got something called necked, where he got hit in the back of his neck so hard. He said his shit closed up. He said he got beat till he
Listen,
was black
wait,
and blue.
for real?
Yeah, this was he crossed Omega and he still went through it, but he said it broke him down so bad, like it mentally messed him up, because he was like, these are supposed to be my brothers. He said even after he crossed, he was fighting the line before him, like they were in an all-out brawl. They ripped off the jackets, tore off like there's some wild stuff, right? And I think it's those experiences
Mm,
that leave a bad taste in people's mouth.
mm,
And he ended up denouncing like 10, 15 years later. He's a pastor now. His stories on
yeah,
YouTube. It was very interesting though. I was like,
yeah, yeah.
damn.
One of my fraternity brothers, same thing. He denounced. In my chapter.
How does that make you feel when somebody denounces though? Like how does that make you feel a certain type of way?
Nah, like. I'm not trying to say I don't care, but it's just like, I mean, that's cool. Like I think I'm different. I'm
Yeah, you
just
didn't
like
cross with
try.
nobody, bro. You didn't cross with nobody. You don't
I'm
have no
just
no line brothers.
I'm just like, yo, if that's your thing, man, do it. If that gets you closer to God, cause I
Yeah,
might, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I probably won't, cause I don't really dwell on the past, but I don't know what God has for me in the future. So I can't tell you. I just know
can't call it.
that, yeah,
Mhm.
like when I heard that, I was
Mhm.
like, cool, man, and if they have a conversation, that's cool. Like I'm just, man, I'm to the point in life, I'm just ready to learn as much as possible, and that comes from having open and non-judgmental conversations. It's just,
I love
life
it.
is just about learning. Now, let me tell you something. This is my wife's thought pattern, and it took me a long time to get to this point because I was ignorant. And I'm okay. I could say that. Yeah, yeah. I was ignorant. I was like, nope, 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 nope. I was just bliss. I was just like, nah. It took me a long time to get to this point. But it's like having a conversation, man. It's not to offend. It's just to learn and just learn people's different perspectives, man. And I'm a God fearing man, and the more that I'm into the
Mhm.
Bible, the more it's like I have no right to judge anybody
Period.
um because God forgave me. So it's just like you can't judge nobody. You be out here like everybody has intrusive thoughts. So like
Mhm. Mhm.
you don't man, if
Correct.
you don't chill out and stop judging and just get to know somebody and just be kind and try to learn from their perspective, then yeah.
Right.
So like I'm
And
cool. Like it's
yeah.
it's it's just it's just something different,
Mhm.
something to learn about.
And so to your point, what you're saying, I think it goes on the other side for people like, because I've seen some like really like out there pastors, like they're really, I don't know, man. Like I was because I went, guys, I went down on a very deep dive with this whole denouncement,
You went to the
and
rabbit hole. You in the
and
rabbit hole, the
I was in the
matrix.
rabbit hole, bro.
All
I was in the
right.
rabbit hole, and they
Yeah.
had some very eccentric pastors, and I don't see how you guys are, just really like, and it came from a place of judgment, and
Yeah, you
I didn't like
got
that either. I didn't like that either.
yeah,
Okay,
got
if you want to
chilled
say
that.
somebody to denounce, lay it out, um, give your interpretation of the word, but positively encourage somebody. It kind of sounded like
Yes.
condemnation and not conviction. And I did take exception to that side as well. Like, I don't like that. If somebody's giving their testimony, hey, this is what I denounce,
Yes.
just to put it out there,
Yes.
that's fine. But like for certain pastors, like
Come
just
on,
the
bro.
attitude and the heart behind it, I didn't appreciate that either.
And the pastors and some members of my fraternity too. Some members of the sororities are like, you're kind of bashing the people that are denouncing, and then the
Don't do that.
people, and it's going back and forth. And it's no, listen,
Hmm.
guys, it's no
And
no
that's what
need for
creates the
that.
true
Let's just
division,
have
I
a
think.
conversation. Yeah, let's just have a
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go back to hopping, and you'll be okay. Like it's not affecting you. Like I think we just have a conversation, understand the
Yeah.
perspectives, because there is
Yeah.
only one truth. We all know what that is. So,
You know, you
uh,
know. Yeah,
you
and
know,
so I think if both sides can kind of hear each other out and listen and not get offended, I think that um more people would, I guess, find resolution. Like
yeah.
find resolution and find these chapters that aren't in
Hmm.
alignment with, y'all's values and y'all's principles and take care of that shit. It's as
That's
simple
it.
as that.
That's
It's as
it.
simple as that.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So kudos. But that's a great conversation. Shout
Yeah.
out to golly, man, my frat brother Mitch. He has a podcast, and I need to find the name of it. But he has a podcast, and they were talking about this on there. So shout out to you, Mitch. I'm gonna put all the information in the link, and I'm gonna tag them, and they're having a conversation. That's good that young people that are in fraternities and sororities that are in college are having this conversation, because this where
It's
it
good.
starts. That's phenomenal. So
Yeah. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
but another thing that can affect HBCU guys. So Rose, I don't know if you heard this. Well, actually, you did hear it because you told me on text. But anyway, oh, I be thinking
I can't
sometimes.
with you. I cannot.
So the NCAA just had a settlement of 2.8 billion. Sometimes some articles say 3 billion, but the exact number is a 2.8 billion, and it's a settlement because of the antitrust litigation of the three class action lawsuits brought by former student athletes. So what this is saying is the NCAA is basically they have to pay out the athletes that had NIL money from
16.
2016 to
Mm-hmm.
2021,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's a lot of money. They're gonna have to fork out 20 to 22 million for 5 years, and they had to settle because if they didn't settle,
Yeah.
they could be on the hook for $14 billion.
I
Would
read somewhere 20 billion.
It'll
Just
break them.
just enough just
It'll
enough
break them.
to bankrupt them because they're not good with money.
They should. They need to get bankrupt. The
It's
NCAA
corrupt.
should be gone a minute ago, and and they can get sued again. This
Yeah, this
they can
isn't
get sued
over.
again.
This
Mm-mm.
isn't over. There was like 5 class action lawsuits, House versus NCAA, all these like this is litigation against the NCAA is nothing new, and it's
Yeah.
nothing new because they're not operating like morally. You get what I'm saying? And this settlement doesn't protect them. They're still exposed. There's a lot of antitrust laws,
Mm.
that they're still exposed to after this. So there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things I don't understand legally, but there's a lot of legality that needs to happen. There's other things that need to
A
take
lot.
precedence. They need exemption from these antitrust laws, or this is never going to stop.
Nope. This is
This is never going
never
to
gonna
stop.
stop.
And I've done some research on it, and there's a lot of YouTube videos and, stories reporting on the ins and outs of that deal. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all well and dandy. But my immediate thought was, how does this affect HBCUs? How does this affect
Mm-hmm.
smaller schools, still Division I schools, but smaller
Mm-hmm.
conferences, smaller schools who aren't benefiting from the majority of that revenue that the NCAA gets, and that's through TV marketing and that
Mm-hmm.
NCAA male championship um, tournaments. The tournaments making a
Mm-hmm.
lot of money, and these other schools aren't benefiting from that.
Yep.
For the most part, we had a Cinderella story. Howard made it to NCAA men's basketball tournament and things like that. But a lot of the HBCUs, they're not there, and they're not taking part of that. So moving
Mm-hmm.
forward, how do you think HBCUs will be impacted, and how do you think they survive this?
Okay, so the problem is okay. So Rose, I just found this out that the problem is they are always going to get sued because it can't require exempt. The only sport that is exempt is Major League Baseball, and that was because it was in 1922. All the
Mm,
other sports, the NBA, the NFL, which makes them kind of exempt. People still sue the NFL, but
good
it's
luck with that.
good luck with that. Same with the NBA. But you know why that most former players can't sue? I mean, they can, right? Just like the NFL players did with the concussion case, right? You
Mhm,
can.
mhm.
It's very hard to win, but because the NFL, NBA have employees and hockey has employees, that's why they have the CBA.
Yeah, yeah,
And the
yeah,
CBA is that's that placeholder of the exemption. But the
yeah.
NCAA can't get that. They can never be exempt because they're students. They're considered students and not employees. So you
And
have to
that's the
pay
thing.
them.
How they're gonna have to figure out a workaround
I
around that,
mean, this is
because
crazy.
this is crazy. This is crazy
It's going to
because now
bankrupt
it's
them.
like you're paying them. You're paying them now.
Yeah.
Before it was a thing of, okay, they're not getting paid, right? And they love to tote that, okay, they're students, they're students, they're students. Now that there's revenue sharing and you can, in the daylight on the books, recorded, we can see how much you're paying each athlete. What is going to be the terminology? What
Mm-hmm.
legal precedence needs to be set? What new classification
Mm-hmm.
needs to happen to where they can be classified as some type of employee, something to where y'all
Yeah.
can stop getting sued? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
I
gonna
don't
be
know.
crazy. And they should have been did this. It was coming down the line. That's why a lot of coaches are going to the NFL or NBA. Shout out Dan Hurley needs to come to Lakers. Anyway, all right. So the problem, the thing is with also with HBCUs, right? The and here's the thing: the Power Five gets all the money from that, guys. They do. That's a
Yeah,
fact.
that's a
And
fact.
they're not paying the whole amount. They're not even paying 60%. And that's the problem because the FCS is the non-football conferences that makes up they got to make up 12% of this. And that includes the MEAC, the SWAC, and the Colonial Athletic Association, the Ohio Valley Association. Now this
Yeah,
12% is it's terrible for HBCUs and small colleges, but especially HBCUs, is because
yeah.
they're gonna have to cut funding and program. Now now here's another crazy stat. When college football just went to the playoff and signed the big TV money. Who gets to go to that playoff? Most likely Power Five schools. So that playoff
Exactly.
money is going to offset for them. Now, the good thing is the HBCUs did sign that deal with Byron Allen, but I don't know the terms. But because the HBCUs are so small, it's going to cut programs out. And it's that's not cool.
Guys, we
It's
gotta just to
inevitable.
break this down,
It's
because there's an
crazy.
amazing article that was written in the Indy Star by Greg Doyle. He wrote an article like kind of breaking down the numbers, right? And just to put this in perspective, I believe the NCAA they made revenue of like 1.2, or it was over $1 billion, a little over $1 billion
Yes.
in 2023, right? Where like $900 million of that came basically from the NCAA tournament, and that's
Mhm.
just from broadcasting, television rights, and things like that.
Yep.
And again, like JT pointed out, these are going to be the Power Five schools. Like they're not taking like HBCUs aren't really benefiting from that. Okay, fine, right? They're not benefiting from it. It is what it is. But when you
Mhm.
start breaking down um the payout, it's not adding up as far as you have what 60 or 70 schools. They're responsible for a small percentage, and then the other 300 schools you want to make them responsible for this 60%, right? That you're saying, oh well, they get 60%, but when you break that down per school, it's like that can bankrupt some of these schools. A lot of these schools
Yeah.
don't have no money like that.
Yes.
I looked up the revenue for each school, for each D1 school, and
Mhm.
a lot of them there is no wiggle room. Some of these schools are operating in the negative.
Yes. Yes.
So now you want to tack on how much more money? Like I'm taking a look. So just to put this into perspective,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we're talking about moving from like the Big Ten. Like think about Ohio State. Total
Yeah. Yeah.
revenue
Yeah. Yeah.
was $251 million dollars. Total operating expenses was 225 million. Right, so they got about 25 million dollars of wiggle room. But if you scroll down, right, and let's get to, and this is what I found very interesting. Let me pull it up here. One second. Because this is where I'm just like, I don't know.
I'm
Um,
waiting to hear this number. This is gonna be very interesting.
look at a Prairie View, right? SWAC.
Yeah. Yeah. Swag. Yep.
All right, Prairie View A&M. Total revenue about 14 million.
Shout out to
Operating
Prairie View.
expenses 18 million. Shout out to 18 million. Total expenses 18 million.
Dang.
Revenues 14 million. That you're operating at
That
a deficit.
sucks. Yeah, it's
You're
gonna be
operating at a
hard.
deficit. Texas Southern, they're at 13 million revenue.
Yeah.
Operating expenses 13 million, breaking
Yeah.
even. I
Yeah.
don't know what I don't know
No, it's
where
a
they
lot.
expect even Grambling operating at a negative. You get what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
very shocking because even like Jackson State, you think, okay, man, they were on TV, they were doing big things. $12 million in
Mm.
revenue, $12 million for their expenses.
Mm.
So I don't understand how the math will work. And a lot of people that were reporting on this story, it's a thing of like programs are going to be shut down.
Yeah.
And what
Yes, that's
programs are
what
going to
I.
be the
That's
ones to
exactly
go?
what I heard.
Programs are going to be shut down. What are
Sucks.
going to be the programs to go? And I think this is going to increase the gap of the haves and have nots.
Yes. Yes.
Big schools,
Totally.
schools in the
It's not
SEC,
gonna affect them.
ACC, Big Ten, Pac-12, they're going to be fine.
Yes.
A lot of those schools
The
are going to be fine.
Alabama, the UCLA's,
Yeah,
the
yeah, 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 yeah.
USC, the Ohio
Texas,
States, the Michigan,
LSU,
Texas,
Georgia, all that.
LSU.
Yeah,
They're gonna be
they're
good.
gonna they're gonna they're gonna be
Bowie
fine
State and
and
Howard are gonna be impacted by this a lot.
big. They're gonna
So
it's gonna
yeah,
be big impacts
it's gonna be huge.
all across the board, and it's gonna trickle down to the HBCUs, and we're not gonna know, these effects because nothing's been set in stone. You get what I'm saying? Like it's
Nah,
over the
nothing.
next few months where we're gonna start getting a lot of answers um, to questions that have been proposed because that's basically all this lawsuit did was more questions. More people are like, okay, well, how is this going to work, and
I heard,
how are we going to deal with Title IX, and what's going to happen to
I
women's
heard it's
sports, and
still going to whatchamacallit. January 25th. I mean January 2025 is still going to a jury trial. I think.
okay, because I thought they had to propose and present it to a judge, and she would have to approve
Yes,
it
the
or
judge
not. But
Claudia
but
Claudia
it's
Wilkin is over. She has to make that decision.
exactly. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that are going to be unanswered. And, I hope that this discrepancy of where like the players that are going to benefit, which are going to be those Big Ten schools, Power Five schools, those players are going to benefit more from this than the other 300 schools that y'all are trying to put all this financial burden on. And I hope when the judge looks at that, they're like, hold
Yeah.
on, wait, this isn't making sense
Yeah.
monetarily.
Yeah.
These
I'm sorry.
schools benefit the
Judge
most.
Bailey. It was Judge
Yeah.
Bailey. I'm sorry.
Yeah, these schools benefit the most, therefore they should be putting on like taking the brunt of that settlement. And then where are
Yeah.
the voices for these other smaller schools while y'all are, shaking, making deals, doing handshakes and kissing babies and stuff to save your own ass?
Yeah.
Where was
That's
their
crazy.
representation at? Because I would be remiss to think that a Jackson State or Grambling would be like, okay, yeah, let's do this deal. No, that doesn't even make any sense. JT, it
It
makes
doesn't. It's
no
crazy.
sense.
60%.
And
That's crazy.
I think what annoys me the most is just how irresponsible the NCAA has been with money. First of
Mm.
all, free labor. You've been getting free labor
Yes.
for decades, right?
It's
Since your
coming due.
inception.
Yep.
Yeah. You be getting free labor and with these TV marketing deals, name, image, and likeness, you've been making money off of these players for decades, and y'all have been
Hmm.
fattening and lining y'all's pockets,
Yep.
paying coaches exorbitant amounts of money.
Hmm.
Even the coaches, you're trying to get rid of them. You're paying them $64 million to exit.
The
But
boosters.
now all of a sudden, we can't pay this because it's going to bankrupt us. I know y'all are driving nice cars. I read y'all's mission statement. We're here for the players, and these players been eating ramen noodles and shit, in the 90s and 2000s and shit. And they don't know what their next meal is going to come from. With some of them, you get what I'm saying? But you're for the players, but y'all have y'all have too many people on staff, and that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at how much the NCAA made in 2022, 23, 23, and then their operating expenses. Way too much. Y'all are being wasteful. Y'all are
Yeah.
being wasteful. It's time to trim the fat. And it doesn't need to be, oh, the smaller schools need to take care of it. No, y'all's organization needs to figure this shit
Y'all
out.
need to do it. Yeah. Because because the crazy thing about that is they knew it. Everybody was telling them when this first happened, and they were wilding out, and they're coming to do. And to be honest, I hope it bankrupts. I don't like the NCAA. I think it needs to
Me
be
neither.
gone. It needs to be
Mm.
gone. It does,
because it's
and a
not
lot of
serving
people
the
feel like
students,
that.
bro.
No, it needs to be out of there. Oh, here it is, Rose. This is from CBS. It says the still unrefined proposal currently utilizing the name Modern Model would not only share revenue with players, but also perhaps to settle the House versus NCAA lawsuit that goes in trial 2025. So if
Mm,
if
mm,
if
mm,
they
mm.
if they settle and the players are like, nah, we want more, they're gonna sue them again, and it's gonna be hard not to deny the players. It's gonna be hard
Crazy.
because
I mean, how
one
can
guy
you?
was a one guy he didn't even he brought it by himself. His name was golly, what was his name? Give me 1 second.
Hmm.
He was a student athlete, and he was golly, he did it by himself too. He sued by himself because he was like, yo, this isn't right, and I'm gonna sue the NCAA. Oh yeah, right here. University of North Carolina tennis player Reese Bretmer has initiated a class action lawsuit against the NCAA.
It's coming. They're
And
gonna
they
keep
said
coming.
this lawsuit, this is not even an NIL lawsuit. This is a totally different lawsuit about prize money. This lawsuit alleges
It's crazy,
NCAA rules that restrain how much student athletes can be paid at tournaments.
crazy,
Like I
crazy,
can't.
crazy, crazy.
If you know how tournaments are, well, I don't know, but I've just heard that tournaments are a little bit, friendly to people they sponsor. And it's
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? If I'm a student athlete, he's like, yo, I got people can have NIL deals, but I can't get paid by my sponsor to do this tournament. Y'all taking money? Nah, let me get that.
sick.
Let me get my five. Let me get my 5 million. Let me get my $8,000. It could be 10,000. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Right,
done
right,
this
right.
tournament, and the sponsors want to pay me $20,000. That can go to my car, my room and board, or they pay me 100,000. It doesn't matter. It's the athletes' money. They can do whatever they want.
So
You don't get rights
yeah,
to that. You don't get to
yeah.
determine how much somebody gets to pay me for my offer.
which
That's
is which is
ridiculous.
insane. They love to overstep their boundaries, for fear of relinquishing power that shouldn't have been theirs in the first place.
Yep.
My other thought with this whole settlement is
Mhm.
there it makes it less likely for what happened at Jackson State to happen again. Like, as far
Mm.
as having these top athletes, because you gotta think, like,
Mm.
Shador and Shiloh, they were getting, they were getting paid a lot of money through just endorsements, sponsorships. You get what I'm saying? Like, through NIL.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep. That's true.
before NIL was kind of operating as these collectives, which were like boosters in these bigger
Mhm.
universities. Is basically people with a lot of money. We're going to pay to play. We're going to pay this kid $2 million and whatever,
Mhm.
whatever, to get him to come to our school. Now I feel like, in addition to the revenue sharing that they're going to get, the 20 or 25 million, that
Mhm.
the university is able to spend annually, then there's going to be actual, like, maybe a marketing division where they're actually now getting even better, even
Mm.
more NIL deals. You get what I'm
Okay.
saying? To
Yeah.
where it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just feel like the gap is just getting so
Mm.
big, it's insurmountable, to where I don't know how HBCUs will compete.
That's
Like, I don't know how
crazy.
they're going to be competitive at this point.
It's
Like,
crazy.
I just don't see it. Like, for me, because think about it, and
It sucks. When I read
it's
that, I
not
was
the
like, that sucks so bad,
yeah,
and it's not.
yeah. It's not the
It's not
student
our
athletes.
fault.
It's not, yeah, and it's not the student athlete's fault, because you gotta think everybody's story is different. Like,
Mhm.
listen, we already know the percentage of students that actually make it to the league. That's in the NFL, NBA, whatever,
Shh. That percentage is low.
right?
That
And
percentage is
if
super
there
low.
is guaranteed money that I can make in college, yeah, the percentage is low. But if,
I'm gonna
if
do it.
you're if you're at least offering me money where I can make this in college, I have to take that,
I'm
because
doing
I
it.
don't know if I'm going to get drafted. I don't know, even
Yep.
after I get drafted, if I don't get injured. I don't know how much money is going to be
Yes.
guaranteed in my contract as a pro. So I'm
Yes.
going to take this money, and I don't blame an athlete, student athlete, for taking that route.
No.
I don't blame them now, because before it was
No.
like, well, ain't nobody really getting paid like
That could
that.
pay
Like, you
for
getting
that
some
could
money.
man, that could pay for
Yeah.
like so much
Mhm.
stuff. It can
Mhm.
pay for your student loans. It can it can help you set up a business that you have. It can help you
Bro, any and
put a down
everything.
payment of a house. It can help you do
I'm telling you.
whatever. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm telling you, bro. It's gonna be something that's gonna be hard for these smaller schools to compete
it
with.
is. It's gonna be hard.
And that's just what it is because even if you're giving somebody the permission to spend 20 to 25 million, these schools ain't got no 20 to 25 million
No,
dollars to even give.
no, and the crazy thing is, we already know. You just read off the big HBCUs. That's not even talking about the Bowie
Like the Pine
states.
Bluffs and
You know,
the
the Pine Bluff, man. Yeah, man. Come on, guys, man.
mm,
Y'all need to take about 70. Y'all need to take about 70. Because y'all gonna mess around
you take
and
90.
it's gonna bankrupt the NCAA. NCAA is gonna
Mm-hmm.
get sued so much, and then they're gonna figure out they're gonna end up having a CBA, but they're not gonna call it a CBA. They're gonna end
That's what I'm
up,
saying. They just gotta find new terminology for the same
yeah,
shit.
they need to call it something else because it's time to give
But
it an NCAA.
it's gonna be we definitely this is definitely something we're gonna have to keep our eyes out on because it's
Yeah,
like it's gonna suck, right? We covered a story on the hockey team. Tennessee State. Okay, we're implementing a new hockey
yes.
team. How are programs like that gonna fare? Like new programs with they probably won't
Mm.
have a lot of revenue, and these are programs that you're probably gonna have to invest a lot of money into just to get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
And
we
I'm
saw the
looking at it like,
stadium. How much the
mm-hmm,
stadium cost?
mm-hmm, exactly. So now other schools that in my mind, I'm like, okay, other HBCUs are going to follow suit and embark on this new endeavor for a
Mm.
new program. Now I don't have money for that.
I don't.
Now I
Yeah,
was going to
they.
be
I
like, I
don't
don't have
know.
money to implement no new programs. You might get schools that had hockey teams that might get cut. You get what I'm saying? Because
And
it's
they're gonna be struggling with scholarships too, because scholarships play a
struggling,
role into it. The
struggling. Because
scholarships I read here on this article. Shout out to
hmm
Ropes and Gray, man. They broke it down legally.
I know
Um,
that's right.
but they were talking about boop, 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 booster collectives, NIL deals, the proposed settlement are finalized. Where do they talk about the ability to opt in? Where's talk about scholarships? Yeah, okay. Furthermore, revenue sharing between schools and student athletes could lead to schools cutting off sports programs that do not generate
Yep.
enough revenue.
You
And
got to
it
cut it. You got to cut
says,
it.
yep, yep,
That makes sense.
that's on athletes. And then where did it say? Hold on. Immigration, schools see federal funding. Hold on. Dang, it might not have said it, but um, yep, they said transfer eligibility, revenue sharing. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I thought I saw that somewhere, and I could be wrong, but I thought I read somewhere that scholarships are technically, if you give a scholarship, that's considered um, NIL money. That's in that pool. That's what I could be wrong, but I thought I read that and was like, what?
Insane.
You
Insane.
know, yeah. So I thought I could be wrong, but I thought I read this, but yeah, it's gonna affect a lot. A lot of
Yeah.
people are
Programs are going to get shut down.
a lot of a lot of programs gonna get shut down. Also, they're gonna get sued again because the NIL and the booster collectives. So they're saying that under the settlement terms, schools will be directly compensating from student athletes through revenue sharing and NCAA restrictions, prohibiting schools from directly engaging NIL deals and student athletes. So this may be lifted. So the problem is, like, if they go to a third party, they exclude the third party as part of the NIL compensation. So if it's basically the school's taking money from the third party, it sounds like. So they might go through another lawsuit where students are like, I want my booster money and third party money directly to me and not you. that could affect the
Mm,
school as well, because
mm,
that
mm, mm,
money
mm.
is probably helping funding the school and that certain program. You
I
know, if
mean,
I
there's.
give if I give like $1 million, like, all right, cool. I want, how boosters are. We've seen blue chips
Mhm.
guys. We know
Mhm.
Reggie Bush got a house. We know this happens, right? Boosters say,
Mhm.
hey, you know, they work with the coach. You want this guy, blah blah blah. So it sounds like they're not going to work directly with the schools. It's going to be a person going directly to the athlete, like, hey, I want you, and then which is
But
right. It's
that
just
was what NIL was supposed to be from the beginning. Like all this like booster shit that
yeah,
it turned into. I
yep,
don't think like when I first read about NIL, I thought, okay, cool. They're gonna get, directly, from the company sponsorship and endorsements. They've turned it into some other clusterfuck. And
yeah,
that's also on them. Like this wasn't how this was intended for to begin with. Y'all weren't supposed to be operating like this. And
mm-mm,
it just shows you like just so much like wiggle room around red tape, so much just like out for self, not really for the student athlete, like everything. And it's just crazy
mm-hmm,
because it's just like these are adults, grown ass men and women, and like look at how y'all are operating when that type of
mm-hmm,
money starts going around, people start showing their true colors,
yep,
and that money's not for y'all. So here's what I'll ask you,
mm-hmm,
because I was talking to my brother about this and I forgot what quarterback they were just like, bro, they were riding it. And he's a quarterback from like I think it was like Georgia or Alabama. It's like a football town, right? Maybe it was Texas Tech. But anyways, he was getting all these death threats, and because he had a bad game, getting death threats. It was a quarterback. He was getting death threats, and fans were upset with him from his like recent performances and things like that. And my immediate reaction was like, damn, this is like a 19-year-old kid. He's a student. He's not getting paid, right? For y'all to be
yeah,
coming at him like this. You feel me?
yeah,
So
yeah,
now, though, now this is going to change everything. These are going to be pretty much amateurism's done. You're pretty much a paid athlete. So now
yeah.
with that, like, you're getting, what do you think is going to happen as far as mentality pressure, that you're going to get, especially from these college towns where
Mm.
their whole lives center around football? And so now there's not going to be a cop out like, hey, don't, they shouldn't be talking to them crazy. Death threats is like out of
No,
control.
death
But
threats is
no,
death
death threats
threats
is
is a
just
little
out of
wild.
control. Like
That's
you
a
need to get
little
a life.
wild. That's a little
But
wild.
like any maybe negative backlash they might get now because like you're getting
But they gotta
paid
eat
now.
that. They gotta eat that.
They're gonna have to eat it, right?
They gotta eat that. They gotta eat that. They had to eat it without getting paid. He gotta eat that without getting paid,
And
man.
now you definitely got to eat it, right?
Yeah, man. Anytime you anytime that you are a professional and the best of the position, you're gonna get scrutinized. And if you're an athlete, definitely you should be wanting to
Hmm.
smoke. That's to get better. And if you
You
don't
do
want to
better.
smoke, hey, but you an athlete, yeah. You talking what?
Hey, so so
Yeah,
so now you were talking about certain
yeah,
athletes suing. They owe
yep,
$1 million and things.
yep.
My reservation with this is this.
Hmm.
Think about how you were when you were 18.
Mm.
Like how
Wow.
immature, how much you didn't know at 18. Now you mean to tell me you're going to it's already bad when rookies get drafted to the NFL and NBA and they get all this money that they don't know what to do with it. Now you're giving it to them 4 years earlier for a lot of these
Yeah,
kids, right?
yeah.
You're giving them money right after high school. I couldn't imagine getting $100,000 right after high school, right? In a country where financial literacy is not taught. So I don't know if the
I'll wall
colleges.
out.
Exactly. So I don't know if the colleges are gonna now, hey, requirement financial literacy, or make it a thing of where they withhold some of that money and you get it upon graduation or when you leave. Like, what
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
Number one, if you'd have gave me $100,000 and I was a freshman at Bowie State, I would have blew it. Probably a
Like,
straight.
how would you plop up on campus, bro? Like, what would you be driving? What would you be wearing? Like you get what I'm saying? Like your whole mentality is different. You can't
Okay,
tell
let's
me
see. This
shit.
let's see. Okay, this is funny. All right, this is during 2000, so let's play it back. I'd have probably got an Impala, old school '96,
Mm.
souped up system, or I'd have probably got a Mustang with a system or a Caddy. and then I'm getting jerseys. I'm jerseyed out. I'm like fabulous. Jerseys everywhere. This
Jerseys
is
and fitted.
2000.
Yeah.
Jerseys fitted. I'm jersey fitted out with some Nike boots. Y'all know what it is. You talking about 2000, and I'm blowing it at. Listen. This is old James. This is the new James. But I'm blowing the strip club. What are you talking about? I'm blowing it. I'm partying. I'm going to Miami. It's done. 100,000 is gone within a month or a couple
So do
weeks.
you
It's
think
done.
that they
I'm
should
blowing it.
hold some of that money back from students, or do you think it's their
I
money, just give it all to them now?
I think so. Unfortunately, this is how life is. I like shout out to my nephew Earl. He's better than money than I was. He's more responsible.
Mm.
Um,
Shout out Earl.
Caleb Williams. Think about Caleb Williams. He was young. But you know, uh, his father looked out for him. His father's a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams is the first NIL athlete. Um, so he took care of his money real well. But I can see how you can blow it. Um, maybe
I do think
try to stifle it out.
right. There has to be some safeguards, bro. There has to be something.
Cause if you give me 100 cash, I'm wilding. I'm
What
wilding
about
out.
a
I'm telling you.
million? You get what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm
Like,
wilding out. Million drug overdose. Done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm honestly, I'm
oh
done. I'm done.
man,
Wow, million
oh
dollars. Wow,
man.
you talking about Miami? $1 million. You wilding out. 2,000. Yes, you wilding. You
Whew,
wilding
that
out.
one caught me off
I'm
guard.
done for. In 2,000, $1 million in 2,000. I'm not coming back to school. What school?
Yeah,
I'm out. But
bro.
think about it. If you're an athlete though, the good thing about this is too. Gilbert Arenas talked about this. All jokes aside, it might go well. It might go good, better than what we think. Because Gilbert says in
Maybe.
college, it's so much structure, it doesn't give you the allowance to really blow it like that. Because you got 6 a.m.s and you got film after class, and then
Mm-hmm.
you got
Mm-hmm.
class, and then you got tutors, and then you got workouts, and then you
Right.
got
Right. I can see that.
games. And so he was like a structure. He was like maybe with pro athletes, he said the problem is this is his words. Gilbert Arenas said, "Yo," he said, "practice at 11, ends at 1." He's like, "That's why athletes be having strippers and uh, Instagram
Nothing but
models."
money and time,
He
bro.
said, "Cause it's money." He was like,
Money, time, opportunity.
he was like the LeBron and the Kobe's, um, and the Stephs and the KDs and the Lucas, they're putting in extra work. Kobe's working out at 3 in the morning. They're going back
Right.
to working out. They're
Right.
going to practice. They're working out after practice.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron's getting up at 4 or 5 and doing the same thing.
Work ethic's
The-
different.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like LeBron, the game's at 3. LeBron showing up at 12 working out. He's
Right.
working. He's in a full all sweat before the game starts. That's how
Mm-hmm.
Gilbert. That's
Mm-hmm.
what Gilbert Arenas said. So it could be blowing it student athlete, the structure of the college could help them out of saving the money. But bad spending habits is bad spending habits. So I can see how it could go either way. Because Gilbert was like, "Yo, he's like, once you're a professional, he's like, oh, he's like, practice is done in one." He was like, "Yo,
Crazy.
$1 million in my pocket." But he was like, he's like, that's why a lot of athletes blow their money. That was his
Do,
perspective, but
do
I
you
can
think
understand.
it's going to be harder for the coaches now dealing with like players who are getting paid? Do you think there's going to be more attitude, or do you think it's going to be pretty much the same?
I think it should be the same because they're athletes and they want to go to the league. And even if they don't want to go to the league, most times if you're playing college football, you're getting NIL money. You're good on the team, which means you have a
Right.
workout regimen and you're
Right.
structured. So I think that that plays a part. You know what I'm saying? Man, it's a that is a good that's good because I mean the way with the money and giving it to athletes, if you stifle it out, they'll be good not to spend it. But then how can you siphon out somebody's money that they earned?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's extra work.
It's
That's
it's
extra work.
it's very interesting, man, because
Mm-hmm.
they could blow it, but they could be structured, and they, man, this is gonna be a good story to keeping in context and
I
up to
blame
date.
this. Yeah, I blame this on
It's
the
very interesting.
NCAA though. Like, had they done the right thing and paid these players years ago, we would have got through this like beginning rough patch and learned from lessons and figured it out. And then in 2024, we would have had a very so structured system of trial and error, um, and we wouldn't have these questions.
No,
You
we
get what I'm
wouldn't
saying?
have. No, because they should have been transparent off the break. We knew they were paying
Yeah,
players. And now when the NIL deal comes, y'all still try to keep the money and be greedy. This is what
super sick,
happens. I
super
I,
sick,
I
bro.
I hope it goes away for real.
Crazy.
I hope it goes. I hope the NCAA
Goes bankrupt,
goes
goes
bankrupt, and
bust.
then it gets called something else where it's like the students and they like actually have something similar to a CBA.
Yeah, they just can't
Where
be
it's
doing
like
all
it's
crazy shit.
leaders, nah, it's
Yeah,
leaders from every
yeah.
football
You got to vote.
conference in school, and you gotta vote. You gotta vote like,
Yep.
hey, all right. If the school takes 40% of the money, we get to have these programs here. Or if they take 30%, we cut this program. Give it to the students. They
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
know. They got
Yeah.
SGA, and they can figure it out.
They can figure that shit out
Yeah, they can figure it out. You know what I'm saying? It'll be
for
good. It'll
sure.
be
I
good for
agree.
them to figure that out because if they want to, especially the really good ones, you should make them a part of it. The top athletes that pay and the bottom athletes, because they're going to be doing this in the NFL anyway. So you just might get
Yep.
them used to it.
For
Might as
sure.
well. And NBA and hockey and NBA, they're all going to have CBA. So you might as well. NCAA should might as well structure something now, but in order for that to happen, NCAA needs to go away, I think.
I feel that. I feel that.
So, guys, this was awesome. This was awesome. Bros, you have anything else?
Yeah, man. We covered in our last episode we covered FAMU and that
Oh,
donation
yeah.
and everything, and there was an article very interesting where
Mm, mm, mm,
um they interviewed, or they reached out.
mm, mm,
They
mm.
reached out to our boy that didn't have a haircut. They reached out to our guy
Yes, yeah.
Gregory. Reached out to our guy Gregory.
Didn't have a
No
haircut.
haircut, no edge up, wrinkle shit. It is what it is. They reached out to our boy and just to get an update. And what did they say, JT? What did he say
He
he
said
was doing when they
he was chilling, learning how to play pickleball. Yeah, they
trying his
bothering
hand
him.
at
No, they
pickleball?
said he was blown. Like he just like listen. He just sounded like he was just enjoying his life. Like, hey man,
Because
I'm
he almost
trying to
got away with
learn
the
how
con,
to.
bro. He almost got away with the big con,
I'm trying to learn how to play pickleball.
bro. And pickleball is a very popular sport,
Yeah,
most popular sport during COVID and everything. It's growing at a rapid rate. So I
nice.
mean, it's just laughable. But I think even though this happened weeks ago, there's still repercussions from this whole fake donation. And I think the main takeaway is now, FAMU will learn this lesson, a very hard lesson, but it gives light to other universities taking heed and also learning from their mistakes. Like, hey, okay, let's examine this. How did they get to that? You get what I'm saying? Like, what are the proper ways? And a very interesting article from the Chronicle of Philanthropy. They were like, hey, here are some things that they could have did better. One being, you kind of
Mm.
look for patterns in the donor's giving history. All right.
Yep. Yep.
You
Yep.
size up the donor's resources, starting with public data. You
Okay.
want to keep senior leaders in your board in the loop. These are all things that they did not do.
Mm.
And then call on legal experts to vet the gift agreement and other documents. They over here signing
Yeah.
NDAs and things like that, not speaking to the board members, leaving out, senior leaders, just not vetting, not doing their research. Like, just they did everything that you could possibly think of wrong. They did that.
They did.
You know, um,
What was he wearing when this interview happened? When he said he was playing pickleball? That's what I want to know.
That I don't know. The only
Was
thing that
he
plays in
in
my
like
mind was that orange and
a
gray
tank top?
nonsense.
Was he in a tank top with some shorts with his feet kicked up, with a pickleball racket, flinging it in the air, talking about this is what I want.
Just trying my hand at pickleball.
All right, I
As I
got it.
almost obliterated
Yeah.
this university that allowed me to almost obliterate them. You get what I'm saying? Like it's
$237 million donation.
and
And
this
this
guy's
is
wrinkled from head to toe, no haircut, no edge up, with the weirdest face mask. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, you come up to me like that, I'm like, bro, get out my face. You have to get out my face. Like, am I on punked? Get out of my face. Get out, get away from me. You get what I'm saying? But you get enamored, and I say we bring this up one because just I'm staying on top of that story because I've never seen anything like it. But it goes to show, FAMU, they were so big
shape of
eyed.
a wrinkle. All right, I'm sorry.
FAMU was had such big eyes because of that
Mm,
amount of money. And now we're talking about stories like NCAA. It just shows like how much financial help HBCUs need because
yeah,
that would
yeah,
have
yeah,
doubled their endowment. You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like if it was real,
That would have set them. If it was real, it would have changed the scape.
the landscape for sure. And I think they would have been able to better navigate this whole NCAA settlement,
Oh yeah,
and put themselves
easily.
in a really good position,
Yeah,
to be able to absorb some of those settlement fees, and then also
yeah.
to be able to compete and maybe build a better stadium, put in more resources, be able to pay players. That's a tongue twister. Pay players,
Pay
money.
players.
Yeah, because it's like, look at FAMU. Got LeBron James made a shoe out of them. Like, I feel like in
Mm,
HBCUs, we were getting there as far as getting big brands to sponsor us. Like my shirt I have on now, you know what I'm saying? Jordan
yeah.
getting sponsored Nike. LeBron has like all these things were coming. Rolex and Ralph Lauren. They were getting all these
Hmm.
deals and sponsorships. I do feel like things like somebody trying to hoodwink a university and things like this whole NCAA settlement is making it very hard for HBCUs to stay afloat and to stay competitive and to bridge that gap in the
Mm.
greater scheme of things. You know,
Yeah, and the crazy thing I just thought about that maybe and my thoughts might be a little bit different because listen, they're wrong by jumping to take it. But if they knew this lawsuit was coming down the pipe, it makes sense that they were like, let's hurry up and get this locked down so
yeah,
we can save these programs. Not saying
yeah,
they're right, but I
right.
understand why they were hurrying up. Because
Mm-hmm.
this after like right before this, now the NCAA makes a settlement. They knew about it,
Somebody
so
heard
it
whispers of
makes
something. They've been probably
they heard
tracking it. Yeah,
they've heard they had to. It just
yeah.
it's the coincidence of the timing is too close.
Right, right.
It's really close. Like, oh, $237 million settlement. Oh, NCAA settles for 2.8 billion, and this affects HBCUs. It could have been like, all right, there's lawsuits coming. And it's their fault for
Oh,
not
for sure.
looking at the
100% at fault.
paperwork or vetting him for this young man with no shape up that wrinkled. I'm not gonna lie, I don't take anybody serious like that.
Wrinkled from head to
And
toe.
and unfortunately, a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people have been let go. Um,
Yep.
the resignation of Shanta Friday Stroud. She was the vice president at the historically black university in FAMU. And it was
Mm-hmm.
an emergency board meeting,
Yeah, yeah.
she was vice president, and it sucks because she might have been like, I'm trying to do this to save a university. I'm gonna be looked at as one of the prominent figures to get this money in versus I didn't vet him and now I'm being let go.
Fucking crazy.
That's
We
wild.
fucking crazy,
That's a
but
wild turn of
it is
events.
turn of events, bro. Complete 180, and I think This is going to be an interesting year. I know kids are out, for the summer and things like that. But I think this upcoming year, as this NCAA settlement gets more solidified and more details and structure comes out,
Mm,
this is going to be huge as
yes.
far as HBCU landscape and collegiate sports in general. And
Mm-hmm.
I am excited to cover that story and to give y'all the latest news. Me and JT give y'all the latest news on everything going on, because it's gonna have resounding effects on a multitude of things in this next upcoming academic school year for sure.
Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting uh, school year coming up. On a good note, Kendrick Lamar blessed us with a new HBCU anthem. So I know you guys are gonna be playing that, and I can't wait to hear that homecoming season.
That's
I
it.
can't wait. I can't wait. So all right, guys, we are out. We are going to see you next time. We're going to be coming at you more. Listen, we know it's the summertime. The Olympics are coming, but there's always news with HBCU,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where you're going to hear it here first. And we thank y'all again. We are out. Remember, follow us on all podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio. We're on YouTube too, man. We love you guys. We are out. Peace.
Bye.